thought I told you to commence to putting on clappers.
Yes, Master, I'm about it. These have all been replaced.
Well, didn't I tell you to get a keg of nails?
And so I did.
So you did. Damn you, I thought you knowed something.
I did as instructed. If there's something wrong, it's wrong with the instruction.
Black bastard. You damn black bastard. Strip your clothes. Strip.
I will not.
12 Years a Slave, a powerful film about America's, quote, peculiar institution, as slavery was once called in this country. It's a film that almost didn't get made. Few studios wanted to tackle the film's brutality or its bleak yet true story about a free black man from the North who was kidnapped and sold into slavery in the South. The film opened in limited release last week on just 19 screens across the country, pulling in close to $1 million, a remarkable per-screen performance showing that there is a lot of pent-up demand for this movie. Today, it opened in wider release to roughly 100 theaters and has quickly emerged as one of the most talked about American films in years. It's been hailed by critics as a masterpiece and an instant American classic. And joining me now is the man who transformed himself into the lead role in the film, Chiwetel Ejiofor. It is a great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
It's an incredible performance, really an incredible performance.
Thank you. Thank you.
As an actor, there are high-status characters you play and low-status characters one might play, and they have different physicalities. And in the telling of the tale of this man, you go from being relatively high status, a free man who is sort of master of his own domain, to being a slave. How did you play that? How did you think about playing that transformation?
Well, I suppose in a way, some of it is instinctual. You know, that you, you know, one of the things that I was very fortunate to have, of course, is this extraordinary book, this extraordinary autobiography of Solomon Northup, and in that, you know, he details his psychological journey, and so, and I felt that I was, as I was reading the book, that I became totally immersed in this story. I found it a very kind of immersive and kind of complete experience, almost as if I was right with him there. So it sort of felt natural to, over the course of that time, to find different sort of points of the strain on his physicality, and you know, he was in a real battle for his mind, so the strain on his psychology as well.
There's a tremendous amount of restraint that he has to constantly show, that you do an amazing job of portraying the film, of essentially hiding his true nature so that he is not found out, so that he doesn't further endanger himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's one of the most extraordinary things about the story is that because it's this kind of first-person narrative, you are able to get a real understanding from really inside the slave experience, which is not something that I've ever seen on film before. And what that allows you to do is to see the real details, you know, and that you just wouldn't be aware of without somebody being able to tell you this, calling out over that 160 years to tell you this was the experience. So, you know, the ideas of how complicated getting a piece of paper and a pen are, how long that can take, what the,
yes,
you know, some of the ramifications of one of the characters just getting a bar of soap is, and you wouldn't know those things necessarily if you just looked at the whole period objectively as a kind of historical piece. But if you're inside the story with Solomon, you get a real understanding.
Women are front and center in this film in a way that I think are often obscured sometimes in when we're talking about these stories, and the relationship you have to women who are slaves and the very complicated relationship between them and masters and yourself.
No.
There's a sense in which the title character's masculinity has been robbed from him and he cannot get it back, and it struck me how much that was a through line in the film.
Yeah, there's different forms of masculinity, I suppose, and there's the one, I guess, that's the traditional one that he starts with, is kind of, you know, the sort of, he has this this kind of a wonderful setup, a wonderful kind of middle class setup with his family, his wife, and his children, and enjoys the freedom and the privileges that we all do, and then he slips into a place where that is absolutely taken from him. He is no longer a person with anything. And of course, that is kind of crushing to his sense of masculinity, but it's also, he also finds different ways of addressing that in a way. This is so much a battle for a person's psychology,
yes,
and his sanity and his ways of resistance. Even survival becomes defiance, you know, at a certain point, and that is the kind of incredible journey that he goes on.
What was the biggest psychological discovery you made about the interior life of someone in this situation while you're doing the film?
Well, I think that that there were so many discoveries. You know, I mean, it's sort of hard to answer. It was, but I felt that there was something that was about the different kind of worlds and universes within the plantations. You know, Solomon was on 3 different plantations, and I always thought of slavery as just sort of one,
yes,
sort of amorphous thing. But it was so interesting to me that the differences on the plantations where there was timber, the differences in the plantations of sugarcane, the differences in the plantation of picking cotton are so humongous, are so huge, and affect the nature of what is happening on those plantations, affect absolutely everything that goes on there. You know, and who people are within that context.
And the particularities of that come through so clearly in the film. It's one of the triumphs of what is a masterful film. Actor Chiwetel Ejiofor. The film is 12 Years a Slave. You should absolutely go see it. It is out in theaters now. Thank you.
Thank you.